I'm Jack's stereotypical Jewish last name, and sadly, just like last time, I have to make a whole paragraph just to set up this video because I have the writing skills of a dyslexic toddler. So, if you watch my videos, you know I have two main sci-fi interests, Halo and Star Wars. I mention Star Wars all the time with my friend Jib on my Sea of Thieves videos, but those are like 4 hours long, so I don't blame you if you haven't seen them. But what if I told you there's a secret third sci-fi based interest that I've also sunk hundreds of my shadely earned dollars in? That's right, I'm talking about the GoBots rip-off Transformers. But in this video, I'm not just talking about one of the almost 50 different shows, even though I genuinely do love animated and Prime. We're talking about probably the most important Transformers media besides the original 80s cartoon, the movies, specifically the first one from 2007. Now, the first Transformers movie is pretty much the most universally loved out of the first series, considering what embarrassing shit happens in the next ones. Enemy scrotums aside, Transformers 1 is an actually amazing movie to start the franchise with. But before I start going through the movie, I gotta get something off my chest. I loathe the two main characters, and their actors, aka Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox. In fact, it's not only a personal thing, but it's hereditary. See, listen to what my dad says. Dad, what do you think about Shia LaBeouf?
What do I think? Thinking implies a moment of calm, reflection, consideration, maybe even appealing to my better nature. But there's something, Jack, that as a man, if you've seen what I've seen, you've endured what I've endured, you've sat in a theater or next to your son, and the Transformers have come out, and you've seen him. Or you grew up with Indiana Jones, loved Harrison Ford, and then you saw him. What do I think? I think I've been through hell. I think I've been through it, the valley. I'm on the other side, but I'll never be the same. I'll never, ever be what I was. And I'll never forgive the universe for Shia LaBeouf, which is probably demon speak for the end of days. And I wait for it because I finally, when it's over and the grave takes me, no longer think of Shia LaBeouf. That's what I think, Jack.
So yeah, blame it on my genes for hating those bastards. But, oh yeah, fair warning, I'm obviously going to be ripping on those two for the entire film, so yeah, let's get into it. The film starts off with a monologue from Optimus Prime, talking about the Allspark, aka the Cube, which can give life, and how the heroic Autobots and the evil Decepticons went to war over it, and how it got lost to space and of course crashed on Earth. It then cuts to a bunch of military dudes, one of them being a guy named Lennox, chatting, having fun, and showering together like true men. Until, oh no, a helicopter that supposedly got shot down is headed towards the base, so ooh, what could it be? So they then go surround the helicopter, which is a Decepticon named Blackout, and Blackout transforms and starts blowing up everything in the base, which by the way looks amazing, even for today. I can only imagine what it felt to see this in the theaters back in 2007. He then steals a bunch of data from the military base and then leaves, but not before killing everyone in his way. Obviously, besides Lennox and his squad, or we wouldn't have our oh-so-important B-plot. It then cuts to Shia LaBeouf's character, Sam Witwicky, doing show and tell with his grandfather's stuff at school, trying to get money for a car. But you might be wondering, that was such a drastic change in tone. We went from a giant murdering robot to Shia LaBeouf struggling in high school. But you'd be surprised, because this happens every single movie. Revenge of the Fallen, Optimus and the gang executing Decepticons, cuts to Shia getting ready for college and dog intercourse. Dark of the Moon, big robot JFK moon conspiracy, then cuts to Shia LaBeouf getting ready in the morning with his Victoria's Secret model girlfriend. I can go on and on about this, even in Age of Extinction in the last night, but I just don't care about those movies. After Sam spouts some exposition about his great-grandfather, saying he was an Arctic explorer and went insane about some giant Iceman, his dad, who also happens to be as insufferable as about 80% of the human cast in this film, takes him to a car dealership where Bumblebee happens to be. Bumblebee then cripples a poor man's business, and Sam gets to take him home. After a scene of Sam having a schizophrenic episode with his dog, he decides to be a dick and ditch his best friend to pick up a girl named Michaela, played by Megan Fox. And the movie tries to make you believe she has a personality by making her good with cars, but I feel like it was just a sad excuse to make her bend over a car in a tank top. And cue a horrible G1 reference.
There's a lot more than meets the eye with you.
It then cuts to our oh-so-important C-plot, where a bunch of hackers at the Pentagon discuss the recent attack on the military base. But it turns out Frenzy, who's a Decepticon, snuck his way onto Air Force One, and the hackers try to stop them. But being the competent United States government, they fail miserably. All the files Frenzy stole pertain to Sam's insane grandfather, who was talking about a man in the ice. And you know, if Sam's grandfather was really locked in a mental institute, kinda reminds me of the real Shia LaBeouf. Bumblebee then decides to go on a joyride on its own, and goes to some random abandoned building where Sam goes absolutely mental when he transforms.
Find busty beauties under.
He then gets caught by some cops and gets interrogated by one who is in a leather jacket for some reason. We then finally get an interesting scene of Lennox and the squad heading to a village and getting attacked by Scorponok, where they get rescued by more of the US military. Also, it would be a crime if I didn't play this scene.
Left cheek! Left cheek! Left cheek!
We then have to sadly cut to Sam having another episode with Bumblebee, but this time after he follows him like a complete dumbass, he gets chased by a Decepticon Barricade, who apparently was supposed to be voiced by Keith David, like in the games, so that would have been cool, but whatever. After Barricade interrogates him about his great-grandfather's glasses, and for some reason we have the glasses now to worry about because this movie desperately needed a second MacGuffin object, Michaela conveniently comes and now both of them are running away from Barricade. Bumblebee then comes to save them because both of them combined have the competence as Michael Bay making these movies. One chase scene later, Bumblebee transforms and proceeds to beat the shit out of Barricade, but only after Barricade deploys Frenzy to deal with Sam and Michaela. Frenzy fails miserably, but disguises himself as Michaela's phone. After Bumblebee makes sure his Barricade won't come back until Revenge of the Fallen, the Autobots finally arrive to Earth with some amazing music. The group of Autobots who arrive consist of Ironhide, Ratchet, Jazz, and of course, Optimus Prime, who I would definitely not spend an obscene amount of money on a figure of him. Optimus then lore dumps so hard the ground around him starts to crumble. Prime explains that Megatron crash-landed on Earth, and that's when Sam's great-grandfather found him and got Megatron's coordinates to the cube imprinted on his glasses. Because that's apparently what happens when you touch Megatron's hand for some reason. That totally makes sense, Mr. Bay. After an obligatory product placement,
eBay.
the incel and the hacker girl get interrogated.
She did! She did it!
And the Autobots go to Sam's house for the glasses, where Sam decides to be an asshole while they do some goofy shenanigans.
Okay.
Move! Get away. What's the matter with you? Can't you be quiet? He wants us to be quiet. Wow, that was tingly. Oh, gotta try that. Yeah, that looks fun.
And sadly, we have to witness an extremely uncomfortable conversation with Sam's parents.
Were you masturbating?
We hear the only mention of the word Transformers for the entire movie.
Hello, Transformer! Transformers! More than meets the eye!
And the feds, who are part of a secret branch called Sector 7, come to arrest Sam and Michaela. Now, as I said earlier, I hate the two main human characters, Sam and Michaela, and feel indifferent about the military dudes. But the main Sector 7 guy, Agent Simmons, who's played by John Turturro, he's just amazing. He's the only reason why I understand Optimus doesn't just let the humans die to the Decepticons. And in John Turturro, he's just funny in everything, and he also seems like he's having a blast in every scene. So after the introduction of the best human character in the film, the Autobots then go rescue them from Sector 7, and Bumblebee gets to piss on John Turturro.
Bumblebee, stop lubricating the man.
And literally 5 minutes later, Bumblebee and the two dumbasses get captured because apparently everyone in this movie has a brain cell count of 7.5 combined. Sector 7 then takes everyone from each plotline of the movie, the military dudes, the hackers, and the government guys, and the two reasons why Jesus has not had a second coming, to Sector 7's headquarters in the Hoover Dam. Optimus Prime also makes a speech where he says the thing.
Cannot let the humans pay for our mistakes. It's been an honor serving with you all. Autobots,
Roll out.
And the human characters are taken to Megatron, who I would also never spend an obscene amount of money on. The Allspark's also there because it's just such a great idea to keep the Allspark and Megatron in the same building. Frenzy then gets all the other Decepticons to mobilize after finding the Allspark and Megatron. Starscream, who I would once again not spend an obscene amount of money on, comes to retrieve Megatron and the Cube. But unfortunately for him, Bumblebee and the humans leave Hoover Dam right as Megatron awakens and treats Starscream like his little bitch. Then Bumblebee and Co. meets with the other Autobots, and Optimus does a crazy-ass 180 while Simmons, the Secretary, and the hackers get attacked by Frenzy. Prime also decides to probably cause several people to get fired from their job, because Prime pretty much destroyed the entire highway while fighting Bone Crusher. Just to add, this scene is arguably the start of a trend in the Bayverse movies that most fans just like to call War Crime Optimus Prime, where the killings Prime commits throughout the movies get so progressively violent that by the third movie, he's just committing straight-up war crimes. To be honest, Bone Crusher is pretty much the lucky one. He only gets punched around a bit, then stabbed in the face in this scene. After this movie, every Optimus Prime Decepticon encounter pretty much goes like this.
Hey guys, it's me, Optimus Prime. We gotta find the Decepticons, man. Light hour, darkest hour and shit. Wait, is that a Decepticon over there? Don't worry guys, I got just the tool for the job. Wow, that was a close one. He could have shot at us or something.
We then cut to Frenzy saying the funny.
I see.
Starscream fucking cripples Bumblebee while Sam has a fucking stroke. I don't even know what's happening in this scene. Is it supposed to represent something? I don't know. Bumblebee gives Sam the cube and Megatron finally joins the battle. And after fixing Jazz's back problems, he goes to fight Optimus Prime. Oh yeah, there's also Mountain Dew bot, Xbox bot, obligatory Michael Bay cameo, Blackout dying like a dumbass, and millions of dollars in property damage along the way. But right when Optimus pleads with Sam to use the cube to sacrifice himself, he instead uses it to give Megatron so much heartburn he just flat out dies. In the end, the Autobots mourn Jazz for like 3 seconds, Bumblebee speaks for the first time and only time for another decade, which is just the tip of the amount of times they've broken continuity, and Optimus gives a speech during a sunset to Linkin Park. The end. Not like the last piece of shit I reviewed, I don't want this piece of media to be erased from existence. And this is mainly because I didn't grow up with the 80s G1 cartoon, because you know, I'm not in my late 40s. I actually grew up with this movie series and animated, so yeah, I'm a bit biased. But I can definitely admit this movie has a few issues. The main 2 issues being the 2 actors who I hope never make another movie for the good of humanity. Like, yeah, I know I said this earlier, but they're just so goddamn annoying, I hate them. Every time they have a scene, I just wish for something interesting to happen. Like, I don't know, one of them dying, that would be nice, maybe it would forward the plot or something. I just hate these fuckers, I just hate them. Let's talk about some of the other stuff. The other real issues is the obvious product placement, and the fact that every human, just like Sam and Michaela, take up all the screen time compared to the Cybertronians. In fact, only like 2 Decepticons get more than 1 or 2 lines in the entire film. The designs, for at least this movie, are pretty good, because if they weren't, I wouldn't have spent so much money on them. The Autobots' designs obviously take inspiration from their G1 counterparts. Jazz with his visor, Ratchet with that weird-ass face, Optimus and his head shape, and Ironhide has a gun, I guess. He's the only one where you can't really correlate anything with. The Decepticons just have no similarities. People like to cope that Megatron takes some inspiration, but that's just a lie. And just look at Starscream. Like, sure, I do think this design's pretty good, but how do you get this from that? How? Some people consider these characters insults to the original G1 show. Like, I get it. Like I said, Optimus is a sadistic murderer, and Bumblebee doesn't even fucking talk. But 15 years later, we're pretty much used to these tropes. Back then, it must have been like the apocalypse for Transformers fans. Just imagine a movie based off of your childhood show with the 2 main characters, and it comes out, and the comedy relief, Bumblebee, doesn't even talk, and Optimus Prime, the voice of hope, is a sadistic murderer. I would have gone crazy. But these departures from the source material only gets cranked up to 11 as the movies go on, and new takes on classic characters is a staple of Transformers at this point. For the better, or the worst. This movie is obviously not the worst in the franchise, not even in the trilogy, but I do wish this movie wasn't so... Anyways, can't wait for the new Transformers movie, Transformers 1, coming out next September, which will hopefully be better than the movie we just reviewed, Transformers 1. Why did they name it that?